Good morning, everyone. Today I want to speak about something we've all faced, the moment when quitting feels easier than continuing. Maybe it's a dream that's taking too long, a business that's not growing, a relationship that's tested every ounce of your patience. In those moments, the voice of doubt whispers, it's not worth it. But let me tell you something powerful. Your breakthrough is often just beyond the point where most people quit. Life isn't meant to be easy, it's meant to be meaningful. Challenges don't show up to defeat you, they show up to grow you. Think of every setback as a signal, not a stop sign. When you hit a wall, it's not the universe saying no, it's saying build a stronger version of yourself. Here's what I've learned from studying unstoppable people and from my own battles. Decide, don't dabble. Half-hearted commitment guarantees half-hearted results. When you decide, really decide, that you will not give up, you ignite a force inside you that nothing can extinguish. Change your state, change your story. Fear and frustration live in a low-energy state. Move your body, shift your physiology, breathe deeply, and you change your emotions. Then rewrite the story you tell yourself, from I can't to I'm unstoppable. Leverage pain and pleasure. Tony Robbins teaches that we move toward pleasure and away from pain. Link massive pain to quitting. Imagine the regret of giving up. Link massive pleasure to perseverance. See the freedom, the pride, the life you'll create. Every master was once a disaster. The difference, they stayed in the game long enough to transform. Committing fully means far more than simply saying, I'm in. It's a deliberate choice to eliminate the exit ramps, to remove maybe from your vocabulary, and replace it with an unshakable yes. Too often we approach goals with a toe in the water, telling ourselves we'll give it a try and see how it goes. That mindset is a silent trap because it keeps failure as an acceptable option. When you only dabble, you subconsciously plan for a retreat. You leave a back door open for the moment things get uncomfortable, and that back door becomes irresistible the first time you hit real resistance. True commitment slams the door shut. It's a vow to yourself that you will persist long after excitement fades, long after it stops being convenient. Think about any significant achievement, starting a successful business, earning a degree, writing a book, transforming your health. Each requires a stretch of time when progress feels slow and rewards are invisible. If your decision is conditional, I'll keep going if it's easy. If the results come quickly, you'll quit when the novelty wears off. But when you decide with absolute clarity that the goal is non-negotiable, your mind stops wasting energy debating whether to continue. Instead, all of your focus turns toward, how do I make this work? That single mental shift unlocks creativity, persistence, and resilience that dabblers never experience. Full commitment also rewires the way you view obstacles. Instead of interpreting challenges as reasons to stop, you see them as puzzles to solve. A setback isn't a verdict on your ability, it's just information, feedback about what needs adjusting. This perspective transforms the inevitable rough patches into training grounds. You become someone who expects resistance and meets it with resourcefulness. That mental toughness isn't something you're born with. It's forged by making a decision so strong that quitting is not on the table. Another powerful aspect of total commitment is how it galvanizes the people around you. When others sense your unwavering determination, they respond with trust and support. Investors back entrepreneurs who are all in. Teammates rally behind leaders who radiate certainty. Even your own subconscious mind aligns with your declared intention. By contrast, half-hearted effort sends a mixed signal. You can't inspire others or yourself if you haven't fully inspired your own belief. Of course, full commitment doesn't mean stubbornly repeating a failing tactic. It means you stay loyal to the outcome, not necessarily to one rigid method. If a plan isn't working, you pivot, experiment, learn. The difference is that your dedication to the goal never wavers. You can change the path without ever questioning the destination. Consider the personal freedom this level of decision creates. When you know you won't give up, you stop negotiating with fear. You no longer need to ask whether you're capable, you simply find the next action. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence compounds. You start to trust your own word, and that trust becomes a self-sustaining engine. People often underestimate how liberating it is to be fully committed. It removes the exhausting back and forth of doubt. Ultimately, committing fully is a declaration of identity. You're not someone who tries to write a book or hopes to build a career. You are a writer. You are a builder. You are the person who will find a way because you've decided that this matters more than temporary discomfort. That identity carries you through late nights, early mornings, and the endless small choices that create success. When you decide to be all in, the question is no longer, will I succeed, but how far can I go? That's the power of total commitment. The difference between dabbling and destiny. The idea that a breakthrough often lies just beyond the moment you most want to quit is more than a motivational phrase. It's a pattern repeated across every field of human achievement. When you're striving toward a meaningful goal, there comes a point when the journey feels heavier than you imagine. The early excitement fades, obstacles pile up, and progress seems painfully slow or invisible. This is the wall, the psychological and sometimes physical barrier where fatigue, doubt, and frustration converge. It's exactly at this point that many people turn back, assuming the dream is out of reach or not worth the struggle. Yet history and personal experience show that this low point is often the final test before significant growth or success. Why does this happen? Real transformation demands adaptation. Whether you're building a business, mastering a sport, or pursuing personal growth, you eventually reach the limits of your old habits and skills. The wall represents the gap between who you are and who you must become to achieve the next level. It's uncomfortable because it forces you to confront weaknesses, to innovate, and to push beyond the familiar. The pressure you feel isn't proof that you're failing. It's evidence that you're in the process of evolving. If you quit here, you never discover the capacity that challenge was designed to reveal. Consider the countless stories of innovators, athletes, and artists who reached their lowest point just before a breakthrough. Writers receive dozens of rejections before a bestseller. Entrepreneurs face financial strain right before their idea gains traction. Runners experience the infamous wall in a marathon, exhaustion so intense they feel they can't continue, only to find a second wind if they keep moving. These examples aren't coincidences. They illustrate a universal principle. Endurance past the breaking point triggers new possibilities. Psychologically, the desire to quit at the brink of success is understandable. Our brains are wired to avoid pain and conserve energy. When effort feels unrewarded, the mind signals, stop. Retreat to safety. But meaningful achievements rarely reside in the comfort zone. By recognizing this internal alarm for what it is, a protective reflex rather than a true limit, you can choose persistence over retreat. That choice is what separates those who eventually celebrate victory from those who wonder what might have been. Enduring that difficult stretch requires strategy as well as grit. First, acknowledge the wall as part of the process. Expect it and you won't be blindsided when it arrives. Second, focus on small, immediate actions instead of the overwhelming big picture. Break the task into manageable steps so progress feels possible even in the toughest moments. Third, reconnect with your why. Remind yourself of the deeper purpose behind your effort, the people you want to serve, the life you're building, the promise you made to yourself. Purpose fuels persistence when motivation wanes. It's also essential to reframe setbacks as feedback rather than failure. Obstacles teach you where to adjust. Maybe you need a new skill, a fresh perspective, or a different tactic. The wall is not an enemy, it's an instructor pointing you toward growth. Each time you push through a barrier, you expand your belief in what you can handle. That expanded belief becomes a permanent part of you, carrying into every future challenge. Ultimately, the moment when quitting feels most tempting is a crossroads. One path leads to the familiar comfort of giving up. The other leads to the extraordinary satisfaction of discovery and achievement. If you can hold on just a little longer, if you can take one more step when everything in you says stop, you often find that the wall was thinner than it appeared. On the other side is not only the breakthrough you sought, but a stronger, wiser version of yourself, who knows that limits are rarely final, they're simply invitations to rise. Changing your state to change your story is a concept that recognizes the powerful link between the body, emotions, and thoughts. When you feel stuck, discouraged, or overwhelmed, it's easy to believe that your circumstances dictate your mindset. In reality, the opposite is often true. Your physical and emotional state shapes the story you tell yourself about what is possible. If you wake up tired and tense, shoulders slumped and breathing shallow, your mind naturally leans toward thoughts of limitation. You start narrating a story of I can't, I'm not ready, or this will never work. But the moment you intentionally shift your body, stand tall, breathe deeply, move with energy, you send new signals to your brain. The chemicals in your body change and so does your perspective. The narrative evolves from defeat to determination. This principle matters because most of us try to change our lives by focusing only on the external circumstances or by wrestling with thoughts directly. We think if I can just think more positively, I'll feel better, but it's hard to outthink a sluggish, stressed body. Physiology is the lever. Movement creates emotion. A brisk walk, a quick workout, even a few minutes of powerful posture can trigger the release of endorphins and dopamine, chemicals associated with motivation and happiness. Suddenly, the problem that felt impossible a moment ago seems solvable, not because the facts changed, but because your state changed. Once you shift your state, you have the clarity to rewrite the internal story you're living by. We all have narratives that run in the background. I'm not good enough. I always fail. This is just how life is for me. These stories guide our decisions and expectations, often without us noticing. In a low-energy state, those narratives feel like unshakable truths. But when you move into a high-energy state, you can question them. You can choose to replace I can't with I am capable and resourceful. The story becomes one of agency and possibility. This isn't about pretending challenges don't exist or forcing fake positivity. It's about reclaiming control over the lens through which you view those challenges. For example, if you're facing a tough deadline and your heart is racing, instead of collapsing into stress, you can stand up, stretch, and take several deep breaths. Tell yourself, this is energy. I can use it. That simple shift reframes anxiety as excitement and primes your mind to take constructive action rather than panic. Changing state can also mean altering your environment. Sound, light, and surroundings influence mood. Upbeat music, natural sunlight, or a quick change of scenery can break a cycle of negative thinking. Even small rituals like splashing cold water on your face or doing a 2-minute power pose can disrupt a downward spiral and remind you of your capacity to steer your emotions.
Over time, practicing this skill builds mental resilience. You become someone who doesn't wait for perfect conditions to feel empowered. Instead, you generate the state you need on demand. This ability is crucial in high-pressure situations. Athletes before a big game, leaders before a crucial presentation, anyone about to step into an uncomfortable but necessary conversation. They don't hope confidence shows up. They create it through movement, breath, and focus. The beauty of this approach is its immediacy. You don't need special equipment or a lengthy process. You just need awareness and willingness to act. The next time you feel stuck, notice your body first, your posture, your breathing, your tension. Make a deliberate change. Stand taller, breathe deeper, move with purpose, and watch how your mind follows. By changing your state, you unlock the ability to change your story. And by changing your story, you open doors to actions and outcomes that once felt out of reach. This practice turns you from a passive participant in your life into the author of it, moment by moment. Using pain and pleasure as fuel is about understanding the deepest drivers of human behavior. At our core, everything we do is influenced by two forces, the desire to avoid pain and the desire to experience pleasure. This is not merely a motivational slogan, but a fundamental principle of psychology and neuroscience. The brain is wired to move away from discomfort and toward rewards, and we make decisions, large and small, based on how we associate experiences with those two sensations. If we link more pain to an action than pleasure, we'll avoid it. If we link more pleasure to a behavior than pain, we'll repeat it. Harnessing this principle consciously can transform your persistence and help you keep going when challenges arise. Many people struggle to maintain momentum because they've unconsciously linked pain to the very actions that will lead them to success. For example, someone might associate exercise with effort, embarrassment, or sacrifice rather than vitality and confidence. Another person might see networking as awkward and stressful rather than as an exciting opportunity to connect. As long as the brain pairs progress with discomfort, quitting becomes the default response when the initial excitement wears off. To break this cycle, you must deliberately rewire those associations. Start by examining what quitting really means for you. Instead of seeing it as a relief, picture the long-term consequences. Imagine the regret of abandoning your dream, the frustration of staying stuck, the disappointment of explaining to yourself or others why you gave up. Make that picture vivid and emotional. Hear the inner voice of what if. Feel the weight of opportunities lost. Sense the emptiness of a life defined by giving up too soon. When you fully connect with that future pain, quitting stops looking like a comfortable escape and starts feeling like a far greater cost. At the same time, build powerful links between perseverance and pleasure. Visualize the pride you'll feel crossing the finish line, the freedom that financial stability will bring, the joy of creating something that impacts others. See the smiles of the people you'll help. Feel the excitement of proving to yourself that you can do what once seemed impossible. The more real and detailed these images are, the stronger the emotional pull toward persistence. When you stack pleasure on the side of perseverance and pain on the side of giving up, your nervous system begins to work with you rather than against you. This process also works moment to moment. When you're tempted to skip a crucial action, whether it's making a sales call, writing a chapter, or training for a race, pause and revisit those associations. Ask yourself, what will I feel if I back away right now? What pleasure awaits if I follow through? The brain responds instantly to these emotional contrasts. Over time, this practice trains your mind to link positive feelings to consistent effort, turning discipline into a natural habit rather than a constant battle of willpower. It's important to remember that pain and pleasure aren't limited to dramatic life events. They show up in subtle ways each day. Something as simple as celebrating small wins can infuse pleasure into the process, reinforcing the idea that progress is rewarding. Likewise, gently holding yourself accountable by tracking results or sharing goals with a trusted friend adds a constructive layer of discomfort when you slack off, nudging you back on course. By consciously rewiring these associations, you create an internal guidance system. Instead of relying on fleeting motivation, you build a lasting emotional framework where persistence feels compelling and quitting feels unthinkable. Pain and pleasure stop being random forces and become deliberate tools you wield to stay aligned with your highest goals. When you master this dynamic, the choice to keep going stops being a struggle and becomes an almost automatic response, propelling you forward even when the path is steep. Seeing setbacks as signals rather than stop signs is a mindset that transforms challenges from roadblocks into valuable guidance. Every meaningful pursuit, whether it's launching a business, pursuing a degree, mastering a craft, or building stronger relationships, comes with unexpected twists and obstacles. Many people interpret these difficulties as evidence they are off track or unqualified, but in truth, setbacks are part of the natural feedback loop of growth. When something doesn't go as planned, it isn't life punishing you, it's life communicating with you, offering insight about what needs to be adjusted, strengthened, or learned. When you experience a setback, it's tempting to feel that you failed, or that the universe is signaling you to stop. That reaction is understandable because setbacks often arrive with discomfort, lost time, financial strain, embarrassment, or disappointment. But if you look closer, every obstacle carries information. A failed project might reveal a gap in strategy, a missing skill, or an opportunity to innovate. A rejection from a job or client might point you toward a better fit you hadn't considered. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You can ask, what is this trying to teach me?
This single question shifts the focus from victimhood to growth. Adopting this perspective requires recognizing that success is rarely linear. We often imagine progress as a straight climb upward, but in reality, it resembles a series of loops, dips, and pivots. Think of great inventors and creators. Thomas Edison reportedly tested thousands of filament materials before perfecting the light bulb, treating each unsuccessful trial not as failure but as data discovering what didn't work so he could refine what would. Athletes, artists, and entrepreneurs all share this pattern of iterative progress. Each setback acts like a compass, nudging them closer to the right direction. To benefit from setbacks, it helps to pause and reflect rather than react. When a plan goes sideways, take time to analyze without judgment. What conditions led to the problem? What assumptions proved wrong? What lessons are hidden in the disappointment? Writing these insights down can reveal patterns and next steps you might overlook in the heat of frustration. This practice turns an apparently negative experience into a structured learning opportunity. It's also important to manage the emotions that accompany setbacks. Frustration and discouragement are natural, but they don't have to control your next move. Physical activity, mindfulness, or even a short break can help release tension and bring clarity. When emotions settle, the mind is more capable of creative thinking and solution-focused action. You begin to see options instead of dead ends. Another key is to separate your identity from the outcome. A failed attempt does not mean you are a failure. It means a specific approach didn't yield the result you wanted. Holding this distinction protects your self-worth and keeps you engaged in the process. Instead of internalizing the setback as a personal flaw, you recognize it as external feedback, which is far easier to address and improve upon. Ultimately, treating setbacks as signals builds resilience. Each time you face an obstacle and respond with curiosity instead of defeat, you strengthen your ability to handle bigger challenges. Over time, you start to expect and even welcome the lessons that adversity brings, knowing that every detour contains the seeds of growth. This attitude not only keeps you moving forward, but also sharpens your adaptability and problem-solving skills. The road to any worthwhile goal will have bumps and turns, but if you read those moments as messages rather than barriers, they become stepping stones on the way to your ultimate success. Remembering your gift and purpose is about anchoring your effort in something far deeper than fleeting motivation. Every person carries unique talents, perspectives, and capacities that no one else can replicate in exactly the same way. When you recognize that your dream or goal isn't random, that it resonates with you for a reason, you tap into a source of power that goes beyond simple willpower. This sense of purpose transforms the grind of hard work into a mission, and a mission is much harder to abandon than a mere task. Life will inevitably present moments when the road feels too steep and quitting seems appealing. In those moments, reconnecting with the reason you started becomes essential. Ask yourself why this goal matters. Is it to serve others, to create something lasting, to prove to yourself what you're capable of, or to provide for people you love? Purpose gives meaning to sacrifice and struggle. Without it, obstacles feel like pointless suffering. With it, every challenge becomes a meaningful step in a larger story. Your unique gift is the set of abilities, passions, and experiences that only you can bring to the world. Perhaps you have a way of communicating ideas that sparks understanding, or a creative vision that inspires others, or a skill in building connections that foster community. These gifts often feel natural to you, which is why they can be easy to overlook or undervalue. But the world needs them. There are people who can only be reached, helped, or uplifted by the specific combination of traits and experiences that you possess. Remembering that truth can reignite determination when you feel worn down. Purpose also provides resilience because it shifts the focus outward. When you see your efforts as contributing to something bigger than your own comfort, whether that's your family, your community, or a cause you care about, you gain a source of strength that doesn't waver with mood or circumstances. It's not just about you anymore. It's about the students who need your teaching, the customers who benefit from your innovation, the loved ones who look to you as an example of courage. This outward focus creates a sense of responsibility that fuels perseverance. Even in solitary goals like personal growth or artistic creation, purpose plays a critical role. A writer who views their work as a means to illuminate truth or offer comfort will keep writing through rejection and self-doubt. An athlete who sees their training as a way to inspire others or to embody excellence will keep practicing long after the applause fades. When you believe that your gift has a role to play in the world, quitting feels like denying not only yourself but also the people your work might touch. Staying connected to your purpose requires regular reflection. Take time to revisit the vision that first inspired you. Visualize the impact you want to have. Write it down, speak it aloud, or share it with trusted friends or mentors who can remind you when you forget. Celebrate progress not only in terms of achievement but also in how your actions align with your deeper values. This practice keeps the fire of purpose alive, even during mundane or difficult days. Ultimately, remembering your gift and purpose transforms effort into devotion. It reframes obstacles as part of a calling and infuses persistence with meaning. When you know why you are doing something and who you are doing it for, temporary discomfort loses its power to derail you. Your dream chose you for a reason. Holding that truth close turns perseverance into something natural, even inevitable. In the face of setbacks, that sense of mission whispers a quiet but unbreakable message. Keep going, because what you carry matters, and the world is waiting for it. So when you feel like giving up, remember, the world needs your gift. Your dream didn't choose you by accident, and the moment you refuse to quit, you've already won. Stand tall, raise your standards, harness the energy within you and declare, I will never give up because my future is bigger than my fear. Thank you.